together. We appreciate it, man. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Yes, absolutely.
So there's one thing that we like to do. We like to do a little intro. So, we'll do that real quick and then we're just going to dive in. Welcome back to Off the Wall Studios. As always, this is American Whiskey. I'm your favorite fat boy host in the whole entire world. My name is Big Sturge. Over on the other side of the studio, as always,
how's it going, everyone?
And Uncle Joey.
Hey, what's happening? Happy Easter, everybody.
So tonight we're 2 men down. Jake's not here. Austin may come in later. But boys, we're here with a special guest. We'll introduce him here in just a minute here. But grab your drinks, grab whatever it is you're sipping on, sit back, relax. Let's enjoy this Easter together, have a drink, and just talk some stuff.
Sounds like.
And if you could, share it away. All right, guys. Welcome to anybody that's listening right now. Today's Easter, so first thing we want to do is just tell everybody Happy Easter. Glad you're in here listening to it. And if you're waiting until Monday to listen to it, that's fine too. But you better be listening to it now if you're a true American whiskey listener. So, Dan, Dylan, do you want to introduce what we got going here today?
So Dan, we're not going to lie, this really took us off guard yesterday. My first question to you is, how did you find us?
Well, it's kind of silly, Facebook kind of pairs you up with people they want you to see.
Yeah.
So
yes. Algorithms.
I started heavily advertising this Farm to Bottle Festival about 2 weeks ago, and since then, every brand of moonshine, whiskey, beer, wine, every podcast, you name it on earth has came up. And I just happened to be at one of our kids' house yesterday, visiting the kids, visiting the grandkids, and it popped up and I was like, well, that sounds pretty cool. I'm going to jump in there and see what it's about. And you guys are talking about bourbon. So I also, have a bourbon group myself that I kind of just share stuff. We don't do a podcast or anything, but just share stuff on a bourbon group on Facebook. And I thought, well, I'm going to listen in. And when you got to talking, I was like, you know what? I bet they'd like to know about this Farm to Bottle Festival.
Oh, absolutely.
I wasn't even sure where you guys were from at the time.
Yeah.
Knowing that you're here in Ohio, that's good. That makes it much easier for you guys to definitely get involved in it for sure.
So what exactly is this Farm to Bottle? I think if I remember right, Dylan, this is a new thing
Yes.
that's happening. But why don't you let us know what it is exactly and what you're trying to do with this festival?
All right. So a couple of years ago, I started really wanting to do a craft beer festival, actually, but there was a few of those around. So I thought, why don't I do something different? I was working with a dirt track racetrack, and we was going to have some kind of a festival down there, and it was in Pike County. So we thought, moonshine and bourbon would be a good thing versus having the beer. Well, due to various different reasons and changes of ownership and whatever, it got shot down that year. The next year, in 2022, I had talked to some people at the Clinton County Fairgrounds, but it was like in May or June, and we just didn't have enough time to even put something together. So we started talking last fall, came up with a plan. In mid to late January, we came up with a date. And as soon as I got all of the okays and stuff to go here at the first part of March, I started hitting it as hard as I could, advertising on Facebook. And I'll tell you, it went kind of crazy within days. I had all of these guys from the Moonshiner Show contacted me saying they wanted to go, they wanted to come be part of it. So, the idea originally started out to be a craft beer festival. And then I was just going to do a bourbon and moonshine festival. And the more I thought about it, and the Agriculture Society from the fairgrounds, they wanted to tie it to agriculture somewhere. So for a few days, even probably 2 weeks after I got all of these okays, I still didn't have a name. I had a date, but I didn't have a name. And I thought about it. And I thought, how can I tie agriculture and liquor together? And I was like, well,
very easily.
Farm to Bottle Festival. It just kind of came
100%.
Well, and Ohio is corn capital, so yes, absolutely.
An idea to a friend of mine. I was like, how can we say Farm to Bottle Festival with a picture? And he's like, take a ear corn, a still, and a moonshine bottle.
Yeah.
Dude,
Put it-
absolutely,
had a friend of
absolutely.
mine- Had a friend of mine work some magic on it, and it turned out really, really cool. So
Well, it sounds like an awesome opportunity for people that are like-minded to get together, enjoy time together, and just share some fun memories. I mean, it's not, every day where you get to go spend 3 days doing your favorite thing,
Lots of,
Right.
lots of storytelling, lots
Oh.
of history, lots of
I'm-
lessons learned. Right.
You're going to
Well,
hear the
and
best fisherman
an
stories in the whole
education.
world.
it's going to be an educational experience too, because
Yeah.
like I said, there's been all kinds of people chime in lately, but I've got school programs, like college programs, that are interested in coming and doing a demonstration of what they have, like for fermentation degrees. I've got several agriculture growers in Ohio that want to come talk about some things, different distilleries wanting to show some special processes that they use. So there'll be a whole segment of this that's educational too, where you can walk through an expo center, talk to all of these different peoples and vendors, and watch some of the demonstrations that they're going to do. And on top of that, it's tied into a music festival, which I've always done music festivals anyway. So it was easy for me to tie that into a music festival too, and throw in some other vendors and some food and stuff. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, you got a party that's kind of interesting.
You got a rocking party.
Absolutely.
So one thing that's interesting, we got two other guys that normally come on here. Jake's hit or miss, but he comes on, every once in a while. But we call him our scientist. His name's Austin.
Right.
You're talking about, the knowledge and the fermentation process of things. Like, he's really knowledgeable about those, and learning about what you're drinking and understanding it. It's different than just, drinking something. So once and we've talked about it on this podcast. A lot of people, I would say, maybe I'm wrong, I would say 95% of people that try whiskey for the first time probably say it's gross.
Oh, 100%. It's like
It
your
depends
first
on what
beer.
you try.
Yeah.
Yes. You
It's
never
like your
try
first
the
beer.
right thing. Yes.
Yeah. So it's like over time, you start to learn your palate. You start to learn about these different, what I call it's art. It's a painting. Some people look at a painting like that's ugly, but over time, once you learn about that artist and what they did, you realize these different things about it. And that's how whiskey is. So I think that's interesting, but craft beers like that, moonshines like that. It's really cool that you guys are, when I think of farm, the bottle, I think of, a stream, something right, pot next to it,
Right.
and so maybe next to a cornfield. It was a great, I think it's going to be a popping time for sure. And we feel honored that you asked us to come there. We'll be live 3 days there, folks. So that'll be pretty cool.
So Anthony, like you just said, when you think of farm to bottle, we did a podcast somewhere that reminds me of something exactly what you just said.
What's that?
Who has a river? Who has the farm land right next to them where they all do their stuff?
Was it New Carlisle? What was that distillery?
Was it Indian?
Indian Creek Distillery? Yeah. Have you heard of Indian Creek Distillery, Dan?
I've heard of it. Where's it at?
It's in New Carlisle, Ohio.
Oh, that's close to you guys then.
And they're really old school. They're using their original ones from like the 1800s. They're pot stills.
They
They're
use the
original pot
water.
stills.
Use the water running through their land. They get
Yeah.
all their corn from local farmers. Like it's
That's pretty-
everything we're talking about here.
Yeah, we'll have to reach out to them. I'm sure that's something they'd love to.
You gotta tag them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So while we're sipping here, I don't know if you're sipping on anything here, Dan, but we like to go.
I
around the
brought
horn here.
3 of them on today to sip.
Yes,
Uh-oh.
absolutely. So let's go ahead.
I don't represent anybody, but I got stuff I like, and I'm not afraid to talk about the ones I
Well,
like.
Let's start with you. What are you sipping on today, brother?
Well, my first one, and it's already gone, was something I found yesterday, and it's a Buffalo Trace product that I didn't know existed.
Ooh.
And it's actually from Handy and Schiller. It is a
What's the
pre-mix bourbon or a barrel, what is it? A barreled old fashioned. So it's an old fashioned made in a barrel. It's an 84 proof old fashioned. That was the first one I drank. I like old fashions. Watershed
Same.
Distillery up there in Columbus has one that's really good. So that was my first one. Currently, I'm on the on this one right here. You guys probably know that
Oh
one.
yeah, Eagle
Yeah.
Winter.
So
Solid
the way
bottle.
I got into bourbon and stuff
Great
was
bottle.
Uncle Joey, one of your
drank-
favorites.
Absolutely.
I drank Beam and Coke for 30 years, probably going to the bar. That's all I ever drank. I always
Didn't we
liked-
all?
Yeah, that was my thing. And I started
Tea and
working
Coke.
with a guy down in Cincinnati, and my boss, and he's like, "Hey, have you ever tried this bourbon?" I was like, "No," but he's like, "Here, try some of it." So he'd get me a bottle. I'd take it home, give it a whirl. I was like, "Man, that's pretty good." And I got to where I don't drink bourbon by the shot. I drink it by the sip.
Yep.
And it tastes a lot better. Or you actually get to taste the stuff that's in it versus just the burn in your throat. So,
Yes,
Right.
sir.
but
Absolutely.
then there's always going to be that one or two that you find that you're like, I have to shoot this.
Yep, absolutely. Old
So-
granddad.
When you talk about that, when you talk about the Eagle Rare, what do you think of that? You like it?
Oh, I love the Eagle Rare. That's probably one of the first ones that he brought me. I think he brought it to one of the other things we was talking about the other day, Rock the Block in Wilmington. A couple of years ago, he came there and he's like, "Here, let the guys in the band try this." So the guys in let me see which band it would have been, probably either Winger or who else did we have that year? Oh, Quiet Riot. The guys in Quiet Riot tried it out, and they really liked it. So, it kind of went from there. There was about a half a bottle left, so I brought it home with me, and I was like, "Well, shit, that's pretty good."
Dan, Eagle Rare is my absolute favorite, brother. So cheers to you on the enjoyment of that bottle, because it's a delicious one. I really like it myself.
I'm not great on explaining the taste of stuff, but I can tell you what I think tastes really good and why it tastes really good. And
Yes, sir.
this just has a smooth flavor, not a whole lot of burn. Another one of my favorites is Rabbit Hole Derringer, man. That was another one he gave me, and good Lord, man, that is some of
Is
my
that the
favorite.
red label?
Yep.
The red label, yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
Dylan loves
I
it.
was just talking about that yesterday.
and then I got another whiskey story for you, though, and we'll hold this bottle up here real quick too. So, about 10 years ago, I've had a carpet cleaning business for years. I went to St. Louis, picked up a carpet cleaning van, and I had to go pick up a blower in Danville, Kentucky. And when I got to Danville, Kentucky and picked that up, I was leaving and I seen this sign that said, "Go check this place out on the Bourbon Trail. It's new," which is Wilderness Trail. And I don't know if
I've
you've ever
seen that. I've never had it.
Yeah.
Wilderness Trail is awesome. It's about
Lots of
50
good things.
bucks a bottle for most of it. So it was kind of a mid-grade whiskey bourbon, but excellent stuff. I had to put my name in a hat to be basically get one of the first bottles after they got their first 4-year batch out. And it was about 3 years into it when I stopped there. So a year down the road, they contacted me, said, "Hey, this is the day we're going to start issuing out the bottles." And I went down there and grabbed me one of the first ones they had. And
Nice.
Yeah, man.
guess what? Stupid me drank it.
Nah, no.
You're not stupid for drinking.
First
your
off,
juice.
it's
back up.
made to be enjoyed, man.
Yeah.
It's made to be enjoyed.
Right. Well, I got to thinking about it. I was like, man, that's a first run bottle. I should have got 2 of them.
Well, that was your mistake.
Yeah,
right
that
there.
was your mistake.
Not drinking it, not getting multiples.
Yeah. So, what out of all 3 of those bottles, which one's your favorite?
Out of which ones that I got right now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, it'd be the Eagle Rare.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
mean,
good call.
it's probably in my top 3. So I would say my top 3 that I've had. I tried some Blanton's the other day, and that was okay. It's all right, but my top 3
Cut 'em
that
off.
I like the best would be
Keep talking, Dan.
Shut
Keep
them off.
talking.
No,
We're
shut him off.
listening.
Dan, talk. Let's hear it, Dan. Let's hear your
Shut 'em
honest
off.
opinion about Blanton's.
it'd be Rabbit Hole Derringer, Eagle Rare, and I'm gonna probably throw right now until I find something different that I like. Watershed Distillery's 4-year that's finished in those apple brandy casks. That
Okay.
stuff is excellent too.
It's kind of sweet.
So the same weekend as your festival, they're actually having something at Watershed. And
Are they?
they have a release I think they've got going on.
Oh,
so
really?
I've never had their stuff. I'm hearing good things about the bourbon they've got out right now.
We'll have to try
yeah,
that.
we need
We'll
to
have
check it
that
out. We need to check out some Watershed. Let's give it a try.
So I gotta before I forget, because you boys, you know me, I
Mhm.
forget quickly. I've had too much to smoke and to drink in my lifetime to stay on the right track. So speaking of Blanton's, these boys know it's my absolute favorite. I picked it to drink tonight.
Good call.
I'm sitting on 3 bottles right now. I actually got 4 bottles the other day, and Dylan wanted one, so I sold him one. All of them I got at store price, but yeah. So I'm gonna shut you off there, because if you have anything else bad to say about it,
Dan,
Well,
you have one
I don't
bottle.
have anything bad to say about Blanton's. The Blanton's was very good. It's just the other ones
you.
are the ones that I like better. I thought the Blanton's was excellent.
You don't have to
Yeah.
back down to him.
Nah.
Dan,
I'm not backing down. There ain't too many bourbons out there I tried that I don't like to some
Yeah.
extent.
Yeah.
And if I had to put Blanton in there somewhere, it'd be in my top 5.
Okay.
So-
All right. I
It's
can
a
handle
solid
that.
bottle,
Up there.
Dan. I agree with you.
And-
It's
and
just
I
not one of my
think
favorites.
But
one of
I've only had it one time. So maybe if I
Yeah.
tried it more times, I mean, you could send me one of those bottles you got. And
I'll
I'll
tell
try
you
it.
what.
Great idea, Dan.
I'll tell you what. I'll do something even better. You're not that far away.
Right.
Come to the studio and you can try 4 different bottles.
Uh-oh, Dan.
Absolutely. We'll
Oh,
do it
shit.
sometime.
So, all
Come
right.
on up, Dan.
And we'll have to make it a day because one of our Austin, our scientist, he lives in Wilmington. So,
Oh yeah. Well, I think he originally reached out to me about something a while back, but I didn't make the connection between you guys and him.
yeah,
There it is.
Probably
No
today
wonder.
or yesterday, I kind
That's
of figured it out.
yeah, because Dylan here and Austin are actually working on opening up a whiskey company. It's called Freedom Sticks Whiskey. So he probably reached out,
That's what
could've been it.
Yep.
So we're intertwined. So now
Gotcha.
you were talking about taking shots. I have to tell you a funny story. Here's the good thing about Big Sturge. There's always at least one funny story that happens to me a day. So I'm full of them. But yesterday, Uncle Joe, I was 3 sheets to the wind. Uncle Joey pours me
Yeah.
a nice pour of 136 proof.
130.5.
Well, it tasted like 136 proof. Knob Creek. And he said,
No. Stag Junior.
Stag.
that's where I was. That's how far
Yeah,
sheets
it
to the
sounds
wind.
drunk. Yeah, I brought my bottle of Stag Junior over
So-
yesterday.
I looked at it. He said, hurry up and drink that so I can pour you this. And I just took it straight down and it literally burned
Yep.
for 4 hours. I was like, why is it burn like that? I was like, I just, when we were younger, you took shots. You weren't a man unless you took a shot. You know what I mean?
Right. And it was
Unless-
always like Jack Daniels.
Exactly. Or Jim Beam, whatever you
Right.
had. I mean, it wasn't 131 proof juice, So, but yeah, I still feel like I'm feeling it from yesterday, but
Man, no.
I'm trying to, damn it. You shush up over there.
Anyway, Dan. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What made you want to, really make want to get this festival started? Was it just because we have nothing like this? Was it to try to get the moonshine community out there to the public? Because I have noticed that is for sale a lot more. Did we pass a law in Ohio sometime recently that we can sell the moonshine? Because I feel like all of a sudden now the moonshine is for sale everywhere. Is
Yeah.
that? Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, I think it's a fairly new law. I don't know how new, but I think it's fairly new that they can do the distilleries and stuff here. And honestly, now to get back to your question of what got me there is, like I said, I thought about the craft beer thing and thought about maybe doing a moonshine and bourbon. And when we tied it all together for the farm thing, it just kind of made sense. But personally, I think what really got me to doing it is I've been involved in music and stuff for years, like doing music events, probably 30 years.
Yep.
Booking and stuff under One Dog Entertainment. As a matter of fact, I think I tagged myself in your video there yesterday with that
You did.
name.
Sweet.
So I've been doing that for years. Don't do it on a professional. I'd say it's professional, but I don't do it on I got to live off of it kind of thing. I do it. And I've been helping with Rock the Block up there the last 5 years. And I kind of wanted to do something new that involved bourbon or craft beer or whatever. So tossed the idea around, was able to tie it all in together with this farm to bottle festival. And, it's just kind of in my blood to do these events. And, Rock the Block is all about music. And that's what it is. It's a music festival. This is a festival that has music, and there's a difference between those. Now, we got all
absolutely.
kinds of music. I got everything from bluegrass to heavy metal coming. And there'll be 2 different stages. I've got a stage indoors that'll be where all the vendors and stuff are, that has some acoustic acts, and I've got a 50s and 60s Elvis act in there.
Do you have spots left open, Dan? Not mean to cut you off. You still have music spots open?
Yeah, I got a handful.
I'll tell you what,
so-
reach out to a guy, a bluegrass band out of Springfield called the Buttermilk Biscuit Boys.
Oh yeah, they're good.
See
Oh,
if
yeah.
they're free. See if they're free, man. They're a solid band.
Well, have them hit me up, or I'll check
do
them.
that.
I'll see on their page on Facebook.
Please do, man.
I've probably had 150 bands send me stuff in the last 2 or 3 weeks, which a lot of that I get simply because those guys, people see me doing stuff with Rock the Block and whatever, and we get, people asking about putting their band on that. So it was pretty easy. Once they seen I was doing this, it's like, hey, let's hit him up about playing that festival too.
Right.
So anyway, I've got about probably 2/3 of the bands on there so far. The current headliner for Friday night or Saturday night is going to be Moccasin Creek. I don't know if you guys have heard of them, but they're very similar to like the Lax and Colt Ford, stuff like
Oh,
that.
like
It's-
that's
Nice.
you're talking
Uh-oh.
you're talking my
Uh-oh.
thing right there, brother. I'm a
Sweet.
country rap artist guy, so
And what's
Now-
Saturday?
Now that's Saturday. Now there's a possibility we're looking into some others. I mean, not that these are going to be there, but we have looked at the Lax, we have looked at the Moonshine Bandits, and some different stuff like that. So
Nice.
know, if we can make that work out, it'd be great. But we will have Moxton Creek, and they've got a great following, been around, I don't know, 12, 13 years now. So they're at least going to be there for sure. We're looking at maybe trying to get Catfish Cooley to do the MC for the event. You guys know Catfish?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
And I've known these guys. I've known the guys from Moxton Creek, and
hell with it. Let's get Jelly Roll.
several years. Well, yeah, no doubt. Jelly Roll would be nice, but after he
Man,
got those Grammys, I
that ain't
guarantee
happening.
you,
His
he
price
went from a
tag just went
five-figure guarantee.
cha-ching.
Hey, shout out to Jelly Roll for making it from the bottom to the top.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely, man. He he got the right combination of music that they would actually play on country music.
You know what I
radio.
I
loved
think
about
he hit the scene at the right time.
Well,
though.
here's the thing.
Country music needed Jelly Roll.
and here's the thing, they needed somebody unlike a Luke Bryan that just sings like there's multiple different things that these guys sing about in country music. Girls,
Right.
trucks, dogs, and beer.
Yeah,
He came
the
to
beer.
the scene and really like when everyone's like you're a fake, like you're not even a rapper. He's like, first off, I would never ask to be part of the country scene. You guys invited me. You guys
Right,
put me
right,
there.
right,
You
right.
labeled me that. And
Right.
he's completely tore it up with 3 wins and CMT awards. Who would have ever
Yep.
thought, you know?
Exactly.
I
So are
saw him live back in December, I think, and man, was it incredible, man. It was, and obviously I'm obsessed with him, but
So music, just Saturday, Sunday, Dan, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
It'll be Friday, Saturday, and then on Sunday I'll probably do some music too, but I'm going to probably do more towards like the bluegrass and stuff on Sundays and probably add a farmer's market into it. Sunday just
Oh,
became
yeah.
a concept a few days ago. So, and it'll be a free day also. That day nobody will have to pay. You can come in, still check out all of the stuff that's there, see all the displays. I do have one of the moonshine places around here is in Bainbridge. It's called Pabst Hilltop Distillery. They just opened up back in the fall. And he may be getting his hands on a still that was originally made by Popcorn Sutton for Sugarlands down in Gatlinburg.
Nice.
So he's going, if he gets that, that's going to be there on display. Plus we'll have a Popcorn Sutton display. And then I think Popcorn Sutton's son is going to come and sell a book that he's got on Popcorn Sutton too.
Nice.
So there's
Phil,
just
I know
there's
you're
lots of
thinking what
stuff
I'm
coming
thinking over there.
together.
So
Lots of stuff coming together at light speed.
So we got something. I know Dylan
So-
and I are on the same page.
So hold
here.
on, you guys, real
you
quick.
want to invite somebody?
Hold
that,
on.
No, not right now.
Dan, who had the peach? I saw some peach moonshine on there. What was that? Peach something.
Oh, it was the Golden Peach Honey. That's
Yeah, who
Doug,
makes that? Who makes that, Dan? I'm very, very intrigued by this.
that is Doug Taylor. He was on the original season of Moonshiners Distiller or Master Distiller Series or competition, and he won that year with
Awesome.
that. So Northern Yankee Moonshine, they are in Ripley, Ohio.
Northern Yankee. I'm gonna get on my phone and type this in because he's got me intrigued by just the sound of the name. I was like, that sounds delicious.
Yeah, he won the master. He got actually basically coined the master distiller by the Moonshiner Show. So because he won that season.
So Dylan,
Northern Yankee.
speaking of Popcorn Sutton, I know you were thinking the same thing I was, which would be interesting. You said maybe we could throw an invite his way for this. But do you want to tell him we actually met?
So have you heard of a guy? He works at he's the actual head distiller at Dayton Barrel Works.
Yeah.
His name's Bill Hockett.
Yeah, I known Bill for about 20 years.
He
So-
lives
That's
in
awesome.
your guys' area, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's probably going to come. He said he's going to maybe in between places possibly, but
I know he had a lot to do with popcorn.
absolutely. That's where I first learned about Popcorn Sutton was from Bill. He actually used to
Same here.
he worked for me up at Airborne Express in Wilmington years ago.
I actually started watching a PBS thing on YouTube today about popcorn, just randomly.
It's super cool. His
Just
story's
randomly, dude. I
insane.
just was like searching today, and I was like, "Oh, this looks cool."
So
Now
I'm gonna
about 20 minutes in,
I'm gonna bring us back real fast just because I want to get around the horn here.
Yes,
Dylan,
and we're
what are you sipping on?
Oh, so I think we have a good theme going here today so far. There's only one person that's going to ruin that. But let's go back to Buffalo Trace. We're on a Buffalo Trace theme here.
All right, real fast. I saw the comment just now. What are you guys sipping on today? If you're listening and sipping, what is it that you're sipping on? Sorry, Dylan.
So I'm going with the old trusty Weller Special Reserve. A good
Ooh,
Weller Green Label. Still in my mind, with every bourbon whiskey I've tasted, still my favorite and my go-to.
Over the 107.
Yes,
Really?
I'd go Special Reserve.
Okay.
107 is very good. Don't get me
You
wrong.
got it right in front of you too.
It's very good too. But my everyday drinker, if I could get it every single day, would be Special Reserve.
that Weller's hard to find.
It is.
We have
it
actually
is.
been pretty blessed with the Special Reserve, haven't we?
Uncle Joey, we're on the same page here. Uncle Joey and I aren't a big fan of it.
Listen, it's
good. It's just
it's-
not worth the hype.
it's entry level bottom shelf Weller.
It
It's
is.
what it is. It's nothing fancy. Dylan, there's nothing wrong with that. That it's a solid bottle
For the price.
It is a
Great price.
solid bottle for the price.
Now, if you could get it every day, it's a solid bottle
It's
for
a
sure. That's an
kick-ass
everyday
bottle
drinker.
for an everyday.
Yeah. And that's what you're kind of
That's what
judging
I'm
off
saying
of,
at.
right? And we've had like he said, we've had the luxury of getting enough bottles to just drink it every day if we really wanted to. I
Yes,
mean,
sir.
that's
Like this bottle right here, Anthony can contest to it. We were sitting down here one day. We were going to shoot, but everything happened. We just decided to hang out. He's like, let's crack a bottle. And he looked over at the Special Reserve and my heart kind of sank. I was like, no. And then he's like, wait. He's like, I have a full bottle over here. Just crack that one.
I have a handle. I
Yeah,
have two
that's
handles.
what he said. He was like, I have a full handle unopened. Just crack that one. And I was like, all right, you're right.
So Anthony, you
Yeah,
got Blanton's.
I
You
do.
have Special Reserve.
So that's what I'm sipping on tonight is everyone's favorite Blanton's. You know, interesting enough, you know, what really turned me on to Blanton's was the fact that it's an interesting bottle. You know, you get it in a box, it comes in a bag, you can collect these toppers. So automatically you think that's cool. So that probably helps my taste buds like it even more. So it's probably not as great as I think it is, but that's what I'm sipping on tonight. Uncle Joey.
I am sipping on a bottle that Austin actually brought up to join us for a tasting one night, and I absolutely fell in love with. I'm a big fan of the Penelope. I feel like it might be a little overpriced, but it's a solid bottle. I'm drinking Penelope Toasted, and it's a barrel strength, and it's a good bottle, man. It's a $70 bottle.
Yeah.
It ranks right up there to me with the Elijah Craig Toasted. And like Austin even commented, this is what Elijah Craig was shooting for in that toasted bottle. They just didn't quite hit it. And I think Penelope really did a solid job with what they did.
It's a really good bottle.
It is. It is.
I think 70 is a bit steep, but
Me too. I think
yeah.
50, 60, I'm in the wheelhouse there, but you know, nothing's what we like anymore. Everything's a little more expensive these days.
you know, it's funny, Dan, I'm the bottom shelf drinker.
Yeah.
So I tend to like, it's just how,
Crazy.
I don't know why, but I've always like, since doing this journey with whiskey and with the boys here, I've always tended to like a whiskey that tastes like corn. Like
That's
a
why
very-
that's why he'll be good. I think Anthony will really enjoy what you're putting on
Yeah.
down there, because Anthony is everything that Anthony kind of gravitates to is the corn liquor flavored
grew up on moonshine.
whiskey.
I mean,
Yeah. So I think Anthony, out of all of us, will really enjoy your festival. I'm going
Great.
to enjoy it for some of the flavorings, man. That peach honey thing. That's what I'm excited about. I think some of these solid flavored moonshines they've got coming are just phenomenal.
Hey,
The alcohol taste is minimal, and the fruit and the sugar and the flavor you get is just amazing out of these things.
go ahead, Dan.
so speaking of like the bottom shelf stuff, I'm gonna grab one, and this was the first bourbon I ever promoted for anybody. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm all,
Hell yeah.
hey, Uncle Joe, you know me.
Oh,
I'm
shit.
all about that.
Anthony's all about the bottom shelf.
Yeah. If it's cheap, it's good. Guarantee it.
Listen,
You know, I compare this to like Jim Beam Jack Daniels, and that would be
Okay.
bottom shelf for me.
absolutely.
What I would consider, or I guess maybe
Jesse
second
Owens.
shelf, got like 5 shelves. But
I love this stuff.
so I started years ago working with
Okay.
Goat from Full Throttle Saloon. I don't know, you guys know who Goat is? You ever watch Full Throttle Saloon, the TV show?
Yes.
Okay, so Jesse James Bourbon, singer from Jackal, he's part owner of that. Michael Ballard's part owner of it. They both started their own line of stuff. So I started helping Jesse in Ohio peddle this American Outlaw Bourbon by Jesse James. And I'll tell you
Really
what,
good.
it replaced my Beam and Coke for 10 years.
Uh-oh.
Isn't it
Yeah,
$9.99?
it became, I got used to the taste of it because I drank it a lot. I let people sample it a lot. And for your straight out the door, bourbon that you're going to make a bourbon and Coke or something with, that's what I drink. That stuff is awesome.
It's actually a solid, really cheap bottle.
I think it's
mixer,
a
yeah.
$10 bottle.
$16 a bottle.
Okay. I'm not gonna lie to you, Dan.
I've tried it.
I like that bottle just straight.
Hey, kick Austin an invite.
Okay.
Yep.
Austin's joining us.
Well, cool. Yeah, Austin's from Wilmington, Dan. He's the one that kind of reached out to you to begin with. So I'm glad he's
Right.
joined.
Yep. He was the first one that reached out to me.
And
Well,
I'm glad
Dan, I'm
he
gonna be
did.
honest, man. I'm really excited for this festival. I checked my calendar. I was actually going to schedule the day off at work Friday. I actually
Right.
already have it in my schedule. The wife knows about it. I'm pumped, dude.
I don't care if your wife didn't want you to go. I was kidnapping you either way.
No, my
We're
wife
all
is
going.
awesome. My wife is very good with letting me do things and enjoying bourbon. She makes trips. She does early morning car rides. She stands in line. She's wonderful.
So,
Shout out to our wives.
Dan, let me ask you this question: what is the most expensive bottle that you've ever sipped on?
Probably the Blantons, but I mean, basically it depends on what you bought the Blantons at, I suppose.
I get you what you're
I've
saying.
seen
Yes.
it for $160. I've seen it for $70. And I don't know that there's even a difference between the two. Is just where it was found at.
Well, if you go to the distillery, you're going to get it at $65 after
Or if you want to
tax.
stand in line at the local liquor store.
Right.
Right. Now, I've got a bottle of that and a bottle of Caribou Crossing waiting
Ooh.
for me in New Orleans. My sister-in-law runs a bunch of shops down there, and they got me a bottle of Blanton's and a bottle of Caribou Crossing. Never tried the Caribou Crossing. It's
Me
the
neither.
same, $150, $160 a bottle, usually somewhere in that area.
Yep.
Caribou
Um,
Crossing is the Canadian Blantons,
Yeah,
if
it
I'm not
is.
mistaken.
Yeah, that's what I researched because I actually the day I got that the Larceny barrel proof, the one that you drank yesterday. They actually had Caribou Crossing, and I was like, which one do I get?
Right.
I like Larceny, just the plain Larceny. That's the only one I've ever tried is the
Oh, the
original
barrel proof
version of
is
it.
so good.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad.
But
at all.
larceny, well, I this is the way I look at just a regular larceny. Is it reminds me? It's on the same page for like Four Roses. I think it's
Yeah.
it's not the
Yeah.
best, but it's a good quality drink. You'll never be
Right.
ashamed to drink that. I mean,
Fair.
Yeah, I like Four Roses. Four Roses is good stuff.
Dan, I'm going to bring this up real quick to change. My wife's cousins, Dana Potts, he's just joined with I think they're a brewery or a beer something out of Texas, 666 Grit and Glory, and they advertise that they're a ranch to table. So I invited Dana on our chat here, and I mentioned something to him. So if he gets a
Sure.
chance, I'm hoping he reaches out and maybe can get something from his product down to your festival also.
Hey, anybody that here's the deal I've made with people when it comes to vendors of alcohol. If you have a product that's for sale in Ohio and you come and set up a vendor spot, just an informational booth, I will carry up to 4 of their products, and you'll be able to taste those. And I'll have 2 or 3 tasting stations right inside the area where all these vendors are at.
Well, Dana
If they're
Potts,
not
if you're
from
listening, there you
Ohio,
go.
If they're not from Ohio, they're still welcome to come do an informational booth and show where people can order that stuff online, whatever they want to do. Have you ever heard of Jephthah Creed?
I have actually.
Yes,
have.
I think so. Yes.
So they have a bunch of bourbons out, but only one of them is approved in Ohio. But they're coming. They're coming up here, and they're going to have their master distiller also come and do about a 30-minute talk on their process of making their bourbon.
Awesome.
So-
Dan,
Dude, I'm pumped about this.
so not to interrupt or anything, our who we call our scientist, our guy,
Is he
our
joining?
brains, Austin's in here. Dan, I think he's over in some parts over by you.
Right.
But
From the
Austin-
cornfield.
in the cornfield. Austin,
Absolutely.
welcome in, brother. Glad
Welcome
you
in,
got to
Austin.
make it.
Appreciate it. So real quick, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, Green Label Heaven Hill will be what I'm sipping on.
Okay.
Nice little 6-year product that's hard to find nowadays. But Dan, I came in late, and I don't think it'll hurt to say, bring this information up multiple times if it hasn't already been said. But
Just where,
what are the
where and
dates
when?
again for the farm to bottle?
August 25th, 26th, and 27th.
And,
Clinton
and
County.
real quick to add to that, what are the prices
Hold on,
for
Dylan.
this?
Where at, Dan? Let him get this out. Where's this at, Dan?
It's at the Clinton County Fairgrounds in Wilmington, Ohio.
There you go.
And Dylan, what was the question?
And what are the prices per day? And is there a package for all 3 days?
There will be both of those. I don't have them set yet because we don't have all the bands set. So it's kind of hard for me to set the price quite yet. I'm
Right
going
on.
to try and keep it less than $30 each day though.
Cool.
I'm wanting to stay in the $20 to $25 range. And really that's going to depend on how
What
much
band?
if we get. If we get enough sponsorship, the more sponsorship I get, the less the price is going to be, because I'd rather have more people there than get more money per person. I'd rather get 10,000 people at $10 versus 1,000 people at $100. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'll tell
So-
you what, Dan, I know I can speak for myself and these boys here. I'm going to start sharing this. I'm going to start spreading it out. I'm going to do what I can do to help out as far as on our end. We'll get this word out there, man. We really will. We'll try hard.
Great. Appreciate it. All the help that we can get is great. It's just going to make it better for everybody, because the more
Oh,
people
yeah.
are showing, the more access people have to come. You guys can do your live stuff right there on the
Oh, it's
spot, and people
happening.
can
Oh,
watch.
that's awesome. Let's set it up, boys.
I have a mobile studio, I call it. So I'm very easily, I'm able to, we've been to a couple different distillers now. We've been to Big Time Barbecue. Shout out Dave
Hey,
Kelly.
That was awesome.
Dave
Good
Kelly,
time.
if you're listening,
Shout
this
out,
is
brother.
right up your alley, brother.
Come with us.
I think Dave
Come
needs
as
to
a
be
guest.
part of the crew. Dave's got family from Moorhead, Kentucky. Shout out, Black family.
Yeah.
And Dave's got some moonshine out in Big Time Barbecue.
He tried to get us to sip it on that night. I said, ain't happening.
Yeah,
tonight,
Ain't
brother."
happening, Dave.
It
We
was
were
one of
too
those.
deep.
It was one of those moonshines. It was just in a mason jar, no labels, and we're like,
Oh,
dude,
yeah, that's how it's supposed
like
to be.
we're
done.
already 3 sheets to the wind. This isn't happening right now.
Now, Austin, you just joined us, brother. I know you're,
I'll be right back.
yeah, take your time, Austin. I know you just joined us, but once Dan comes back, you're the guy that always asks the great questions. So if you have any questions for Dan about this, and go ahead and do that. But yeah, it's great to see your face. It's been a while.
What's happening,
Right.
Austin?
Missed you down in Texas. I've got for the listeners, I will have a one-off, we'll call it the Whiskey on Travel edition. I'll have a one-off video. I'm going to drop to Anthony here soon, let him get that put up, but
Hopefully tonight. Hopefully we can shoot that over tonight. Yeah.
Hey, real quick, can we
Yeah.
name that segment Austin on Wheels?
Yeah, we
Whiskey
can
on
do
Wheels.
Austin on wheels. I like that. Austin in the air.
Austin
Well,
in the
Dan, you talked about it, you shared it on Facebook about, the different, moonshine distillers, whiskey, bourbon distillers. What about food vendors? Do you got food vendors on tap? What do they need to do?
Yeah,
Like
got a
our
few
man
different ones
with
so
the
far.
barbecue.
Yeah, we got a few different ones so far. Me and a friend of mine are gonna do all of the barbecue stuff. So we'll do the pulled pork, the brisket, stuff like that.
Yes.
I am bringing in other vendors that don't sell that, and basically I'm just trying to bring in one of each type for this first year. I want everybody to come and be able to make money.
Yep.
And I don't want to drown any one product out. If 10 of us are there selling barbecue, we're all 10 going to suffer. But if there's one person selling this and somebody else selling Italian sausage and somebody else selling ice cream cones, I've got a lady coming that does donuts and coffee, and I think she's from where close to you guys. She's from Clifton Falls.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
I can't remember Dunkers and something. Dunkers and Beans, I think is the name of it. It's she just got a little pink colored booth, and it's got a picture of a donut and some coffee on the side of it. But she's from
I like
Clifton
coffee
Falls.
and donuts, boys. I don't know about you all.
100%.
So speaking along the lines of that, questions following this. I know this is at like the local campground. Am I right?
Fairground.
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 That's what I meant.
Yes.
So, are people going to be able to, let's say somebody it's a 3-day event. Are people able to bring a camper and camp in the camp area?
Full hookup for I don't know how many, but I'd say probably 100, 150 campers at least. And you'll have electric and water, and then there's a a drain on the way out. Where you
Good.
can drink.
American whiskey will be live all 72 hours.
I'm ready.
But anybody can
Camper?
come there and camp. It's
Oh, yeah, campers.
I think the fairground sets the price. It's $50 a night, but it's electric water, and then there's a dumping station on the way out, so you can get rid of your sewage. So
Okay.
So,
Oh,
so
perfect.
with what Anthony just said, is there a certain time we're allowed to open up and everything? Because
Yeah, when's it
we-
start
we-
on Friday?
we can make this a marathon stream.
well, yeah, it's you can start it anytime on Friday. Hell, the way things are going, I've added Sunday. You never know. We might do something special on Thursday night too. Who knows? It kind of just
I like
depends
the
on.
way this is headed.
Do,
I'm
do
kind of
like
making it
next
fluid
Thursday?
right now. I started out with just a 2-day event, but it's been so fluid that to add some different stuff on and bring some separate attractions in and stuff that's just going to attract the largest diverse amount of people. And the thing is that this appeals to everybody. And if you drink anything, there's something here that's going to appeal to you. There's vendors from
Right.
every type of alcohol, people that are sourcers for every type of alcohol, and there's demonstrations on every type of it. Even we got a local cidery in Wilmington called the Tin Cap.
I've
Oh,
eaten.
yes, I love Tin
I've
Cap.
been there. Yes, it's very nice.
And Jason's probably going to do an apple pressing or pressing to make some cider. I've got a guy named Vaughn Davis. I ain't sure exactly where he's from, but he sources a lot of these whiskey and moonshine and vodka places here in Ohio with specialty grains and stuff. So he's going to come do a demonstration. You got a guy from Waverly that's going to build a still several times over the weekend. He'll build it, take it apart, build it again, so people can watch. So you'll be able to actually, it's going to bring in the entrepreneurs too, or the enthusiasts who want to learn about how to make bourbon or how to make
Almost
moonshine,
like
how to make beer.
The
So
home brewers, so to speak,
Yep.
of moonshine. Yes.
the festival is going to encompass everything alcohol from farm to bottle. I guess that's just the easiest way to put it. And anybody that's interested in the processes, there's something there for them to learn. People that just want to come and drink and have a good time and stay somewhere for 3 days and listen to music, it's good for that too. If you represent a product, you can come there and represent it to the people that's going to be there. So it's got something for, several different avenues for people to get their products out, taste products, listen to music, just hang out and have a good time, party, whatever. It's kind of a thing for everybody.
I am thoroughly excited about this event.
So as
The
excited
Farm to Bottle Festival,
As ex-
Wilmington, Ohio.
as excited as I am, Anthony, I'm going to go ahead and apologize now.
Okay.
I know you spend so much time editing and everything. After
Yeah.
these 3 days, you're going to have days and days of down here. to do.
No, this will all be live.
Nah.
This will all
We'll
be
do
live.
segments, man.
Oh, I know
we'll
we're going to do segments though.
But
There's
we'll
one
do
thing I know all Americans like. You know what that is? A good damn time.
a festival. Festival with food, music, and alcohol.
You know,
Well, and like I said, Moccasin Creek right now is our main band for Saturday night. Looking at several others, I got some local country acts, some Southern rock stuff, some bluegrass, some 80s or 50s and 60s Elvis stuff. Now, Friday night's all rock and roll. I've got a few modern rock and new rock bands. I've got this one new band that I seen on TikTok, and I just really liked them from the first time I seen them. They're called Gunshine. So if you guys get a chance, go look them up. They're
Okay.
like,
I
if
will.
you know who Greta Van Fleet is or
Yes.
Dirty Honey, if you know who either one of those are and what they are to 70s music, that's what Gunshine is to 80s music. It's like somebody took a bunch of young kids from 1980 and dropped them in 2023 and gave them that same Sebastian Bach kind of voice and stuff and those same kind of guitar riffs and whatever. So if you
How
like
about
that
the same
music,
hair? Do they have the same hair?
So what we really need to do here, Dan, is shout out to their parents for having some
Absolutely.
kind of
Yes.
taste in music, to allowing these
100%.
children to listen to good old fashioned rock and roll.
Absolutely. And Rock the Block, we'll throw another plug for that. It's the same
Absolutely,
thing.
plug it, Dan. Plug it.
We got Warrant there on Friday night, July 28th. They'll be at the Murphy Theater. Those tickets you got to buy online. After that, we got a Pat Benatar and an AC/DC tribute. That'll finish off Friday night. Then on Saturday, on the One Dog Entertainment stage, which is me, I've got a band called Swivel. They do kind of it's a local band, cover band, playing everything that you can imagine from Southern rock to modern rock. Another band called Dragon's Eye that does the same kind of music. Plus, they have some originals of their own. And then there's a newer band out of Akron called Audience of Rain. Now those bands will all be up until about from 1 o'clock till 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And then on that day on Saturday, Scott Stapp from Creed will be inside the Murphy Theater.
What?
That's a paid event. And then after that's over with, outside, we have a tribute band that's an 80s tribute out of Detroit, Michigan called Sunset Boulevard. They play all your favorite 80s hits from Journey and Poison and Skid Row and everybody else. And then the headliner that night outside that is free to the public is Saving Abel. So
I've heard of that.
Fantastic.
Saving Abel. I've actually seen him, I believe.
So that's a big step up from the last few years, right there. I mean,
oh
I mean,
yeah,
they brought some bands into town, but Saving Abel is a relatively current active band, so that's a big name to bring in.
Most of what we had before was older, 80s and 90s rock. First, Saving Abel was the first one to be of the post 2000 era. So,
Yeah.
But one more plug here, real quick. We're gonna look at this. This is Pabst Hilltop Distillery in Bainbridge, Ohio. This is his Blackberry Moonshine. This stuff is excellent, full of flavor. And it's at 70 proof, I believe. Yeah, it's a 70 proof. And then the other one that Sturgill is wanting to know about is this Doug Taylor has this Northern Yankee Moonshine. This is his Golden Honey Peach that won the Master Distillers competition on the Moonshiner show in the first season, which I think they're on season 5 now. So
Dan, I have a question, Dan. Where can Uncle
Yeah.
Joey drive to buy a bottle of that?
Ripley, Ohio on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, I believe.
That's that they don't distribute outside of Ripley. It's strictly a Ripley, Ohio bottle.
Places, if you go look on their Facebook page, he's got a handful of places where they have some of his stuff at. But I mean, it's fairly new, so his distribution isn't huge yet, simply just because he's new.
All right, so we're in a few minutes here. We've had a couple of people ask, what is the Farm to Bottle Festival? So once again, guys, if you like food vendors, live music, craft vendors, camping,
Dan is blowing me away with all this.
Beer, bourbon, wine, hard cider, and a bunch of other stuff.
Time.
August 25th through the 26th. Actually, we're talking more dates, but right around that time, 2023, Clinton County Fairgrounds, Wilmington, Ohio. Do not forget, set it on your calendar. So welcome to the people that just joined. Dan's right here. He's talking about it. So again, August 25th to 26th, 27th, 28th, maybe, who knows? This year, Clinton County Fairgrounds, Wilmington, Ohio. Farm to Bottle.
So
Festival.
Austin, I'm going to hit you with something real quick. You're always our knowledge guy, right?
Sure.
Let's hit you with it. It was asked earlier, and I'm willing to bet you have some background on this already. I don't know if you were in for the question, but Uncle Joey asked something along the lines of when moonshine was brought into Ohio legally.
Yeah, when can we start? Like this moonshine craze is everywhere now.
Yeah, I don't know when it actually legalized and hit Ohio. I mean, there's always a different proofs that are allowed state by state, because we still, Dan, you might know this, I'm not positive, but I still don't believe we can get 190 proof moonshine here.
No, I think
Kentucky can.
151's been Ohio's largest proof years.
Yeah, so we're still.
I go to Indiana to get 190.
I know we just started carrying Everclear like 3 years ago.
And even that brand is Everclear.
Yeah.
And Everclear is it's a brand name.
Yes,
right.
Not the 190.
It's not the 190, but we
moonshine.
just started carrying Everclear in general.
All I know is I love moonshine pickles.
Yeah.
Oh,
But you
moonshine
can buy
pickles are great.
Everclear in a lot of different proofs. So in Ohio, we sell 151 proof. Kentucky,
Right.
you can buy 190 proof.
Give me all the
Everclear.
moonshine pickles in the world.
I want to say West Virginia, you can only buy like 140 proof Everclear. It's the same brand. They proof it down to whatever the state legally is allowed to sell. So Everclear is a brand that is owned by Luxco. They are out of St. Louis, Missouri. So I do know that.
Awesome.
Have you ever tried to pour some 190 Everclear in a styrofoam cup?
It will melt.
Right straight down through it.
Yep.
My
So-
favorite way to drink it, of course I know.
It's
course I
like
know how it
gasoline in
goes.
a styrofoam cup.
As it
What a
goes
lot
on the
of people
ground, not
don't
my mouth.
realize about whiskey in general is if you distill a product, 160, 140, 190, whatever it may be, when you add water to that product, it actually causes a reaction and it heats up.
Right.
So if you pour water, especially like in even something that's 140 proof, in a styrofoam cup, like there's a good chance that reaction and the heating will cause that cup to melt. So a
Gotcha.
lot of whiskey companies, when they proof their product down, they don't just take 500 gallons of water and drop it into, a couple thousand gallons of whiskey. They add the water slowly so that the flavor doesn't burn off.
Right.
So
That's
if you're
interesting.
proofing at home, dropping water into a
Doing
straight from
thirds.
barrel, that might be something that you try, is slowly add your water versus just
Caught me.
dumping a bottle cap in.
Double
Right.
pour,
Always caught me in here. I
Blanton's.
said I'm gonna have one pour of Blanton's tonight.
Just
He's
saying,
like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing." Nothing.
I just seen him pouring too.
Man, I'm on like pour number 5.
Hey Dan,
Exactly.
hey,
He
Dan,
likes
I
to
went back
he
and
likes to
watched your-
drink and podcast too. So
I went back and watched your video the other night, Dan, because after you tagged us in and kind of joined in there, and
Yeah.
I noticed I like that Dan's got him a nice little shot glass,
I saw
and
that.
he's got him a little shooters, man.
Yeah.
He takes him, and that's perfect flavor. Where we do probably a 1 to a 1.5 ounce pour, Dan's doing probably, what do you say? Maybe that's probably just a little under an ounce, Dan, 3/4 of an ounce there in that glass. I don't know.
This one here, this is probably a 2-ounce glass, but I'm only pouring it about a quarter of the way full.
That's what I said. Yeah, but dude,
Yeah.
I'll be honest, you're getting that's a taste. And if you're not
Right.
trying to get hammered drunk, you're
Right.
you're getting good flavor still out of that flavor. And like I said, I watched your video the other day and I liked how you did that. So kudos to you and your little tasting method. I like that. It's a
Yeah,
good, it's a good way to stay coherent, we'll say.
well, I'm going to tie a lot more stuff into this too. So I used to do some podcast stuff called Conversations with My Playlist, which was a bunch of these different 70s, 80s, 90s, and even some of the modern bands and stuff. I'd get some of the famous people on here to
Nice.
talk about music and whatnot. Well, it just so happens I got a good friend that's in the band Striper, which was an 80s band, 80s Christian rock band, as a matter of fact. I'm gonna
Yeah, they
try to
were along the lines with
Hey,
who was
hey, Dan, these boys are young. I'm
Yeah.
not afraid to say that I'll be 54 this year. So
I am 54, so
So you're screaming. You keep talking. You said quiet, right, Dan? And I got this little tingle in my neck. I'm not going to lie to you. I saw them
Well-
several times down at Hare Arena in the 80s, 82, maybe 84. I don't know.
Jack Russell from Great White, I had him on there. I
Nice.
think Bobby Ingram from
Petra. I'm thinking of Petra.
oh,
That was an
yeah,
old
yeah.
80s band. Do you remember them, Petra? Nobody.
No.
who?
Petra.
Petra, yeah.
Thank
They
you.
were, yeah, they was wasn't they a Christian rock band?
Yeah, they were a Christian 80s
Yeah.
band.
Yep, sure did.
They were a hair
Decent
band and
Talk
they
was
were
another
rocking.
one.
So hey Dan, kind of to backtrack a little bit here and to go back a little bit on the festival. I know you're going to be busy every single day. Obviously, you're putting this on. You're going to be running around. I bet. We would like to get you on every single day, at least for a little bit.
30 minutes. Hey, 30 minutes with Dan.
Festival.
We'll do 30 minutes
30
with Dan.
minutes, 30 minutes with Dan. I
Yeah,
like that.
listen, we'll do
if
it.
we can.
Yeah, we'll do a 30-minute session. Dan, you can talk about.
It's hard to get me to shut up when I ain't drinking. When I am drinking, it's even worse. So
Listen, let's
We're the
if you
same
get me
way.
up there, we might end up an hour and 5 minutes into it like we are today or
I'm
whatever
not
we are.
mad.
don't
We won't be
care.
mad about that. But if you can say every day, let's do like an informative session, like
Absolutely.
what's going on, what's happening, anything changes, parking situation. I say every day we can get on it and do a little thing. And if it runs longer,
And the
Dan,
great thing is I got a board here. If you're like, boys, I don't got time to run in there. Let me call in. I can do the same
Right.
thing with you right now through
Yeah.
my board.
yes,
No
yes.
problem at all. So, but yeah, that would be cool to do. I have a couple. I don't know if you're in a hurry today, Dan, or not. Are you in a,
I do got to go back over to Hillsborough here in a minute and pick the wife up. So
all
It's
right.
all good, Dan.
So I just got two more questions. One, how many different podcast guys do you have coming in?
so far, it would be you guys and Sean Rigsby was still talking.
He's
Okay,
out of
cool.
Springfield
He
too.
is.
Shout out
Yep.
Sean.
So Springfield's like
That
got
Flatlander
the
still?
corner,
Is that his?
corner in the market.
There
That
we go.
Flatlander, is that the name of his business, Dan?
What is it?
Flatlander.
Yeah.
Shout out
Uh,
Sean Rigsby, Flatlander Stills.
All right.
No,
So
no, that's Lawrence Pritchard. Lawrence Pritchard has Flatland still.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
And I'm going up to see Lawrence here in a couple of weeks too, up there in Napoleon. and try some of his stuff out. So maybe we can get back on here and talk about it sometime here in the near
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
Dan.
Always.
Absolutely, Dan.
Um,
Listen, Dan, you know what? I'm
anytime.
going to say this right now. I don't mean to get it overdo there, Sturge, but
Okay.
Dan, I think our meeting you is going to actually, I think this podcast may sway a little moonshine. I think
Oh,
we
for
might
sure.
do some moonshine tasting.
Oh, we're
Dan.
gonna
for
have
sure.
to now.
moonshine stuff won't hurt because honestly, I didn't realize that basically moonshine is where bourbon comes from. I didn't know that till about
Corn
a year
liquor, absolutely.
so my neighbor behind me here, he has a still and stuff, and he brought me over a thing. He's like, "Here, try some of my bourbon." I was like, "How do you even make bourbon?" I knew he made moonshine. He's like, "Oh, well, it's moonshine, and then we stick some oak chips in it and let it set for about 2 years." I was like,
See?
What?
It's the moonshine is the heart
He's
and
like,
soul
"That's how
of
it's made."
bourbon.
Because they make moonshine and they stick it in an oak barrel or whatever kind of barrel, and then that's where it gets its color and stuff. I was like, "Well, I'll be damned." I didn't know.
Awesome.
So-
I'm sure you want to add to that.
Well, no, just so like you talked about, Dan. A lot of people get this concept, and I can tell you right now, there's one. Yeah, I mean, let me grab it. Like, I can't even grab it. But a lot of people assume like, oh, you got to put it in a barrel. You can put it any new oak container. You can make a cube. It just so happens that the barrel became the easiest thing to put them in. But I mean, if you made a wood box that was watertight, you could put it in a
Right.
wood box. If you wanted to make a freaking wood globe, yeah, I mean that's the biggest difference. As long as it's 51% corn,
Right.
that's it can be 100% corn. It doesn't matter. But it has to be 51%. And any new oak, there you go. There's your bourbon. And it has to stay under that just. You got to bring it off the still at 160 or below, so you can't quite go super high with it, but yeah, I mean they are definitely I'd say brothers more than cousins because you can get crazy with some of the different mash bills, but
Right.
I mean you can take a whiskey or a moonshine and turn it into a bourbon as long as you follow a couple guidelines.
Right. Let me show you something else real quick.
Don't forget about your wife, Dan.
She's all right. We was just one of our grandkids had a birthday today, plus it was Easter,
Oh,
and
for sure.
Okay.
my son was like 3 hours behind on making his birthday cake, so it probably ain't even made it in the oven yet. So I got a little bit of time. But this here was what my neighbor brought me, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's got about 5 or 6 little chunks of oak down in the bottom, a little square chunks. So
Okay.
that's how they did their bourbon. Now the process of getting that bourbon flavor and color, Brain Brew Distilling down in Cincinnati, they're bringing this machine they got called a wooden bourbon blender, and somehow this thing will create in a matter of a few hours moonshine into bourbon.
Okay.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
That's
and they're
nice.
wanting to come and do that. They're going to do a display and demonstration on it. So
Dan,
I
do
thought
you think we could snipe them to say that on air?
probably, yeah.
That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm going down to their place probably every weekend. I've been trying to go places. This weekend I didn't go anywhere because it's Easter weekend, but
Right.
next week, basically every weekend, I'm going to 2 or 3 places that are people that are coming here. I'm going to try their stuff out, buy some of their shit, come back that night, talk about it online. And that's going to be rinse and repeat for the next 4 months.
Now,
Hey,
Dan,
Oh,
I think
yeah,
the best.
river.
I think the best thing here is you have an open platform with us. So if there's something that you were like, "Hey, boys, what are you doing tonight? Can we hop on? I got something to share with you guys."
Absolutely.
And,
Sure.
and if any of your vendors want to hop on with us and just say, talk about this festival and what they're bringing to the table, this is an open platform. That's why we created it. I mean, this was meant to hang out, get too many drinks inside of us and talk about people's dreams. And that's exactly what
Right.
you're doing. You're
Well,
And you know
opening
what?
that up.
I was about to say, if Dan, if you'd like to join us once a month, twice a month,
Until
every
then.
week until from now to
Yeah.
then,
If we
pick
can
a
do
day.
at least a couple times a month, and when it gets
Yeah.
closer, we'll probably do every week. And hell, the week of the show, we might get on every night.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
down.
fine.
and I'm okay. I live close, Dan.
Hey,
We're-
hey, we can
Right.
promote the shit out of
And
each
I can
other.
probably get you a couple of the guys from the Moonshiner shows. I know Sean would probably be willing to
Oh.
come on sometimes.
Absolutely.
Paps from Hilltop, Doug Taylor from the Northern Yankee. You could probably get Lawrence up there from Flatlands.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Those guys would probably be more than willing to come on here and talk about it. Then Sean does a show with Ian Lowe. I don't know how Ian fits into the Moonshiner stuff, but I know him and him and Sean do that show called Still Talking. So I assume he's also tied into it somehow as well. And then we also, Matt Brown has a talking show that he does from down in Gatlinburg. That's a moonshine show. We might be able to tie something in with him too. Can't make a promise on any of them, but I think they're all open to that because they follow everything I do on here. And I didn't know any of these guys 3 weeks ago. And, you know, I'm talking to them and chatting with them on a regular basis now. So
Let's make it a thing.
Absolutely.
yeah,
We'll get
absolutely.
this figured
Look,
out for sure.
people love bourbon and people love
Oh.
moonshine. They like
Yep.
beer, and
Love
wine,
alcohol.
too, and all that stuff ties together.
And
So,
Dan, the worst comes to worst. Like you said, everyone loves bourbon. Everyone likes drinking bourbon. Worst comes to worst, we get on here and we drink bourbon and we have a good time.
So
Yeah.
I want to share with the people that are listening right now. We're gonna wrap this up here, Dan, because I know you got something to do. But I wanted to explain something real fast. I'm the one that almost 2 years ago came up with this idea of American whiskey. And what it was, I was down here in my studio one night. I was playing the 6th string, sipping some whiskey, and I wondered to myself, like, where the world was headed and why we couldn't just sip whiskey together and just talk as fellow Americans. So I was like, that's what I want. My dad's like, well, what do you mean? I was like, nothing, there's nothing more to it. Just, I don't care whether you're Republican or whether you're a Democrat or whether you're whatever, it doesn't matter. And so then I invited Dylan to it on the very first episode, and he's like, man, this idea is fantastic.
We were literally at a bar drinking beers, and he was like, "Hey, you want to do this?"
Yeah, we
And we were recording that night.
yeah, it was just like I hadn't asked anybody to join me. It was just a vision that I had, and then Uncle Joey, you slid in there. Uncle Joey's son Jake from Alabama slid in. He's on there sometimes. Austin's on here almost every time. So I created this podcast called America and Whiskey, and so I want to ask you another question that has nothing to do with whiskey. I want to ask you something. I always ask each person that comes on here, what is your favorite part of being an American?
the ability to step outside my back door and take a piss.
Yes, sir.
Amen, brother.
But
Amen.
I've
That's
been much of
smart.
time
We
in the
got-
country. I know you can't do that in the city, but just the
Oh
freedom that
crap,
we
you
enjoy-
can't.
I do it every night.
Let me get my,
the
let me
freedom
get my
that we
son.
enjoy.
Ryan!
Yes, the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, freedom to do whatever you feel like doing. That's what I enjoy about being an American, and the freedom to drink whatever kind of whiskey you like, even if it's Blanton's.
You
Oh, got him.
Yeah,
Got it.
even if it's
guys.
quality house,
I
we'll,
want
we'll
every-
go ahead and toss
I
that
want
in.
everybody to
Dan,
know-
Dan, Uncle Joey here. I think you're my best friend. I think we just became best friends, Dan.
Gonna do karate in the garage. And as far as
You
the
like
Austin
butt
guy
beds?
in the comments below that said also Blanton's toilet water, we did ban him. He's no longer allowed.
That's all right.
Oh, you idiots.
He's pulling the team down anyway.
I love you
Listen,
guys.
what I love is we have a little group chat and
Every day.
Trolling is the best thing.
You
in the
know,
world.
here's before you go, Dan. We have so I named the group. So it went from American Whiskey. There's 5 of us on it, and it's hilarious. So every day somebody says something every day. It doesn't matter what
every
it
day.
is.
We stay in touch every day. Yes, we
Unpin
do.
that comment. So at least once a week, somebody will unfollow the text because someone gets so
Someone
pissed
gets
off.
mad and we leave the
And
group.
it's normally me or Dylan.
It's okay. They come back. They come back, Dan. They do. Uncle
Sorry,
Joey,
come back.
myself, I love trolling.
They'll
We're the
survive.
king of
Favorite.
trolling. We're the kings of trolling. So Dan, I appreciate you coming on. I don't know if you have anything else to add. I know you said you had something to do, so I didn't want to hold you
Dan,
too
it's
long.
great to meet you, man. It really is. It's a pleasure.
You guys as well. And for anybody that's still listening, I'll just do this 2-minute rundown of what Farm
Do
to
it.
Bottle.
Hit it.
Dan, go.
So Farm to Bottle Festival, August 25th, 26th, and 27th so far at the Clinton County Fairgrounds in Wilmington, Ohio. What this does, this brings together growers, producers, and consumers to one event where you can go check out the vendors and find out what kind of stuff that they're making and it could be a cider, it can be a beer, a wine, a bourbon, a moonshine. There'll be all kinds of vendors there. You can go ask them anything you want. Several of them are going to be doing demonstrations. Several of them are going to be doing like a small speech, maybe 15, 20-minute speech. There'll be tasting stations where you can try all that. And we tied that into a music festival also with every kind of music you can think from bluegrass to heavy metal. It's a 3-day event. There's camping. We're going to keep the price as reasonable as we possibly can. Like I said, at least under $30. But if I can get it to $20 or less, we'll do it. We'll do that too. Prices and stuff will be out fairly soon. You can find us on Facebook at Farm to Bottle. It's a Facebook page, so you can find us there. I'll have a
Very easy to
website
find.
up and running soon too. It's onedogentertainment.com, and it's a number 1 and then dogentertainment.com. Right now it's just got a placeholder page, but I'll have all the info up there soon too.
Oh
So,
yeah.
that's all I got.
Dan, for we do you're gonna have samples there too, right? I believe we talked about that.
Yes, yeah, we'll have
Um,
sampling. Anybody that sets up as a vendor will have, but I'm still going to have a full beer of just your standard bourbons and beers and mixed drinks. I mean, it'll be like any kind of drink you want to have there that you go get at a bar, you'll be able to get. But if you want to try
yeah.
some craft stuff,
Hey, Dan, how much do we have to pay to be next to that stand? We said
Yeah, I
I
never
think
thought about it. When I
do we
could
get
offset
dibs
off.
on spots, Dan? Can America Whiskey get dibs on a good spot?
Right.
We get prime location.
Hey, you know what? If you guys and still talking want to each one be on each end of the bar there and catching people as they come through, that'd be great.
Hey,
Oh,
we'll
yeah,
do that.
man.
Backs.
Hey, let's go, boys.
If you want to share that location right there, we can make that work.
All right.
Yeah.
So Dan, I appreciate you coming on.
We
Hopefully
really do, Dan.
we can
Thank
get you on again in the next week or two.
Yeah,
and
we'll
just
get
keep
on
it
here in a
going.
couple weeks. Sounds good.
Share it, Dan. Get your friends going with it. If they want to get on here, explain what it is they're bringing to Farm to Bottle. The
Yeah,
boys
get
here,
us some
we love to
listeners,
do that.
Dan.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
We'd
so we'll help
appreciate
you
it.
out. And
we
I
can
also
rope
have
in.
I have a little surprise for you. I do have a Uncle Joey and I have radio voices. So
Yeah.
we're doing you a commercial, like a split explaining what the Farm to Bottle is. I'll send it over to you this week. So that
Hey.
way if somebody wants to know what it is, send them over and be like, here's what it is. So anyways,
Oh yeah.
as always, I'm Anthony.
I'm Dylan.
And I am Uncle Joey.
Who are you?
I am the man in the cornfield.
That's Austin right up there.
Dan, tell us who you are.
Dan.
Dan from Farm to Bottle Festival.
And who are we, boys?
One Dog
American
Entertainment.
Whiskey.
Whiskey.
Whatever else.
Peace out.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
one,
Dan.
guys.
All
Thank
right,
you,
guys.
Dan.
Take care.
Hey, Dan, thanks for joining. Be safe, everybody.
Yeah, thanks.
And live is off.
Hell yes.